Hello and welcome to the Worn and Wound podcast. We are in studio today in Brooklyn with producer Josh. Hey Josh, how are you?
Really, really good.
You got called out in our AMA.
Yeah, I literally saw that right before I walked in. I was like, oh, I love that when people think.
We'll talk more about that AMA. I am joined. We've got a virtual full house kind of, but I have Mr. Zach Weiss sitting next to me. Hey Zach.
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
I would put on my hat because 4 out of 5 of us were wearing hats. I'm not going to remove my hat because I feel myself getting too warm. So excuse me.
It is a little warmer out there today. The corduroy LL Bean hat.
Yeah. I can't think.
There's Ed Jelly in the computer who has thoughts on LL Bean. Hi, Ed.
I have no thoughts on LL Bean.
No
I have
thoughts on
thoughts
LL
on
Bean.
Todd Snyder.
Oh, Todd Snyder. That's what it was. Okay.
Yes. LL Bean is great.
Welcome back to the podcast. It's been a while. It's good to
The
see you.
implication is
back.
that Todd Snyder's not great.
Yeah.
Wow.
I never said that, but I think
I
it.
have a wonderful
Often.
cardigan.
Yeah.
Wonderful cardigan.
It's a cardigan, but thanks for noticing, right? Zach Kazan is also here. Zach Kazan, hello, welcome.
Hello, I'm the hatless one for
He's
people.
the
who are
hatless
listening.
one.
2 hatless Zacks.
Yeah, you're looking a little shaggy up there too, man.
Thanks.
You growing
Yeah.
your hair out? Next time I see you, I want like a full ponytail situation happening.
Do you have shots?
Yeah, we're
of
not
you?
even close to like pandemic level shaggy.
Your hair got real long. It was in,
during the pandemic. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, it's like 1980s like Pittsburgh Penguins.
De Niro
really-
Cape Fear. Did he have long
Yeah,
hair?
yeah.
Yammer Yager or something.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. Penguins. Wow.
Isn't there a
amazing.
movie about the hair that like hockey players go called like Flow or something? Like it's a thing that like
Yeah,
hockey
it like
players,
curls up under the hat.
yeah, they have
little
like
bit.
mullets and they
Mhm.
like show it off.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
it's
that was the vibe. It was
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
I really want to relive those days. That was a wonderful time in all of
Yeah.
our lives.
Your hair is directly proportional to your misery.
Yeah, pretty much.
Glad to see you're doing well, Zach. Judging by your hair length.
Zach Kazan, what are you wearing on your wrist? And is it not a Grand Seiko? I have a feeling it's going to be something else today.
Oh man, now I kind of wish I had thrown the Grand Seiko on, but no, I'm not wearing a Grand Seiko. I'm wearing a recent acquisition, the new Chrono. It was just the Chrono Chronograph 2, the white dial
Yeah.
one that was just released. This was it arrived a couple days ago. I've been wearing it since it came in. It's great.
Cool. Congrats.
Thanks.
And you impressed with it first impressions?
Yeah, dial's really nice. Has surprising like depth to it. The case wears really well. It's a little bit thick, like some other watches we've been discussing recently. It measures, thicker than it actually wears. It's quite pleasant to wear on the wrist. It's very nice. I like it a lot.
You can bring that to SF.
Yeah, I think I will.
Okay, good. I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah. As we record this, when this goes live, you will probably be in the air flying to San Francisco.
Oh yeah, right. Because
Zach and I will be leaving the day after heading to San Francisco, all for the Wind Up Watch Fair in San Francisco.
San Francisco. Yeah.
Which is
First San Francisco in a few years.
yeah, I'm excited about it.
Very excited.
It should be a lot of fun. If you are in the Bay Area, please do stop by and see us, say hi. Check out Zach Kazan's Corona, and I'm sure we'll all have something
Yeah. Plus like
cool on our
40
wrists.
brands.
Plus like 40 brands. Yeah. So, I haven't looked at the weather. I know the weather in San Francisco can be pretty dicey from day to
Yeah,
day.
no idea.
But regardless, we'll be there and look forward to seeing any of you that will be able to make it out. Josh, what are you wearing?
Good question. My Seiko regraft.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're freshly reserviced.
Yeah, freshly resurfaced, and it's funny because I thought I was gonna get rid of this guy. I got married in this watch, so what's it called?
You
But
can't just get rid of it.
I thought I was gonna get rid of it because it didn't work anymore. I wonder what that says.
Hey, some watches have more sentimental value than like monetary value. I took an old Seiko diver in once to be serviced, and they flat out told me like, "Oh, this isn't worth being serviced."
Yeah.
And I was like, you can't tell me what it's worth to me. It's worth more than that to me. Can you please service it? And I probably should have just taken it somewhere else upon a comment like that.
Yeah, fair enough.
But I was already there. So. Ed Jelly, what are you wearing?
The Grand Seiko SBGN 003 on a Crown and Buckle uniform matte supreme, which is a good color because I like drab greens and blacks. I did my laundry the other day, and it was like just depressing pulling that
You
thing
know-
out of the dryer.
You look at all the pile of clothes and you're like,
Yeah, I'm like, oh
who am I?
god. Yeah, like
How
I
did I
like
end
to
up
think
here?
I'm
So
more
boring.
cheerful than a pile of black t-shirts and like muted gray. I'm not. It's
okay,
fine.
yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's was that
I'm in the same
Zach?
page
I was just
there.
gonna say,
I wear black
Zach Weiss.
undertones.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
that kind of guy. There's nothing wrong with that.
No.
What are you wearing, Zach? Tell us.
I have on the recently launched, as of today, when we're recording it, the Laurier X Warner Wound Hydra 2 limited edition, our second collaboration with the fine folks over at Laurier.
Yeah, this looks really great in person. There's some like textures on there that you need to see this one.
Yeah, so we went for a stripped down look, no paints, colors kind of a thing, and really focusing on like a steel on steel kind of brushed texture and inspired by kind of, in our minds, like these experimental raw machines, sort of mid-century, their watches in general have a sort of mid-century vibe. So in conversation, we're sort of like jets without paint on them, cars, crazy stuff. And we ended up doing this photo shoot with a beautiful Porsche 356 Speedster in chrome, which, a little bit more polished perhaps, but still very cool.
Yeah, no, it came out really well. And
yeah.
the little like just dab of red there.
One little red mark,
It's all you really need.
Also on a matte Supreme.
Also on a Matte Supreme. We're all big fans of the Matte
I think
Supremes.
this is the Shadow, they call it. Shadow.
Like the black and and bluish gray.
Yeah, I mean, I'm wearing like a Donegal shirt here. I like anything with like textures and flex and stuff in it. And these are the only straps I'm aware of, at least, that have a sort of randomness to the thread, which I just find really compelling. This comes on the steel bracelet. I just didn't feel like sizing it right now. So,
yeah, we've all been there. It's a great looking watch. I've got the videos that are like oddly satisfying, and it's like milling a piece of steel or something.
Yeah, that's what it reminds me of.
And like once it's done, you're like, oh, it looks so cool. But then they coat it and paint it and all that, and it kind of loses that factor. Like that's got that.
Yeah, appreciate that.
That look.
Yeah, it went over very well. I wasn't sure if it'd be too subtle. Was my concern of the concept, like visually. You can tell this whole story with Porsches and everything, but I wasn't sure if the watch itself could be too subtle. But people seem to like it, and I mean, it sold out.
It sold out.
So,
Look at that. How many were made?
150.
150. Okay. Well, sorry if you were 151 looking to snag one. I saw the Zodiac watch come up on Reddit just today. I think that went really fast, and there were like 3 comments of like, if it falls through, let me know, hit me up. I didn't see what it sold for or anything, but it's nice to see they're doing really well, and they've got kind of their own following. And we had some fans of our collabs show up in the AMA that we did. We did an AMA on Reddit, by the way. Did I already mention that?
Yeah.
Thank you if you showed up to ask us questions. It was a great turnout and some really great questions and some good discussions were had. It was exhausting. I mean, so before we started this, I thought like I'll have it up on another window and I'll just be like working and then I'll jump in whenever like a question comes up. But it was like a deluge, and some of the questions, you want to like take time and give a proper response to, but you want to make sure that you're getting everybody, all the questions that come in. So you just kind of end up doing this like nonstop. So it was about 2.5, 3 hours that we were in there and just the whole time kind of hammering out questions. But it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. They were really enjoyable
great.
questions, like a lot of unexpected questions that I think I had a good time thinking about. So.
Zach, did the person that showed up to ask you about tacos, did you know this person?
So I do know that person. Okay. I didn't recognize the username immediately, but I was able to quickly kind of figure out who that was. But multiple taco questions came up yesterday, which was great for me because I love talking about tacos.
Taco and Taco Bell questions.
Yeah,
that's right. That was another random thing. I was like, I don't know where there's Taco Bell within 100 miles of me, but
I mean, it's an ask me anything.
It's an ask me anything, and I put it in there explicitly at the top, or anything else you feel like talking about. So I anticipated some questions coming through that were just kind of off the cuff, and that's great. We're happy to answer any of those. What is this event though? There's a whole taco event.
So we can. Yeah, I'll definitely link to this in the show notes. It's one of my favorite events in the city of Manchester, New Hampshire, which is the largest city in New Hampshire.
Taco capital of the world.
Taco capital of New England.
Yeah, I was like not expecting that.
The kind of like the downtown area in Manchester, every like Cinco de Mayo or around Cinco de Mayo, they close down the street and every restaurant does like their own special taco, and they're all like $2 or something, and it's a lot of fun. Like,
That legit sounds
like,
amazing.
Just it's like tons and tons of tacos. And
So you get
Sounds
like
nice.
taco interpretations from not necessarily taco restaurants. Is that what's?
yes,
Ooh, I
and
like
I've
this
learned
concept.
over the years those are the tacos that you can skip. You don't.
Oh, really?
need-
Oh,
Yeah, like you don't need
Okay.
like the weird, like I mentioned in the answer, like we all tried this like this Reuben taco from like a
It's got my name
it's
all
like
over
a
it.
it's like
Yeah,
an
that sounds
Irish
pretty
pub.
good.
I know.
how can you screw
not,
this up?
not great, not great. It wasn't
Yeah.
wasn't good. But there's a lot of creativity and a lot of
Yeah.
good tacos. Who doesn't love a taco? It's,
So what are you doing to train? You have two and a half weeks. So
He's doing
yeah,
Taco Bell.
I'm way out of practice. I don't
Okay.
know what I'm gonna do. It's gonna be ugly, but
And we'll
Yeah,
find some tacos in San Francisco.
Yeah, I was going to say, is that?
I know
a
of
thing
a
we
oh
can do?
yeah, no, of
Oh,
course, yeah. San Francisco, good opportunity to prep for the taco tour.
Yeah, and the food carts in San Francisco are not. You get like foie gras and
Oh, yeah.
or
Oh.
escargot in the food trucks in San
Mhm.
Francisco because that's how they be in San Francisco.
Yeah, that's-
That sounds like a taco
So-
I'd avoid.
Yes,
The escargot foie gras.
yeah.
There's a little French place in my neighborhood, but it's very much also like a neighborhood kind of restaurant. And they have Taco Tuesdays, and I've yet to go. But I'm wondering if it's French tacos or not. They don't like say right there, but if
French
a little
tacos. Okay.
escargot,
Escargot tacos. There you
not
go.
gonna happen, but maybe a little coq au vin.
Escargot taco.
Yeah, I'm getting the best tacos in New York City tonight. I'm very excited about that.
Okay, you gotta go.
So what's it called? It's not a restaurant. It's a family on Facebook. They're called Kalima Tacos, and like you pre-order with them, and I believe they can deliver them to you. But you go pick them up. They do like tacos in all styles, and they do really amazing like those like Mexican drinks like made out of like tepache, which is like a fermented pineapple juice or whatever.
yeah,
There's
yeah.
what's it called with like chamoy, which is like the like chili spice with sugar around the rim and stuff like that. Like it's amazing.
I have never heard
Yeah.
of this. And now
Really,
Yeah,
really good.
okay.
I will
Maybe-
I will give you guys the info.
Maybe they need to cater a Warner Wound office.
Yeah, I think
lunch.
so.
Yeah.
Sounds perfect.
I'll show you the pictures. The
I
pictures
can
alone.
come in that day.
Yeah,
Yes,
Ed will come in
that's
that day.
Yeah, everyone's fine. There's our office when we were back in Industry City. We were not too far from Tacos El Broncos, which
Oh,
is like
Yeah,
really good,
the,
really
tr-
good for
the
Sunset
truck
Park.
or the
Well, there was a truck and the
the
restaurant. We would
restaurant,
occasionally
yeah.
go to the restaurant for birthdays and things, but the truck is. I used to walk past the truck every day on my way home, and it's just like the meat smell of that
Yeah.
coming. It was like so delicious.
So funny story
Yeah.
about Tacos El Bronco though. So like I'm obviously familiar with both the restaurant and the truck, right?
Mhm.
Because I used to live in South Brooklyn.
Mhm.
I moved to the Bronx, and first time I was walking around there, like first week or so, I saw Tacos El Bronco 2, another truck, and I was like, "There's no way."
Part two.
Yeah, then
It had two on it.
Yeah, and for the listeners out there, these trucks are very far away from each other. Like we're talking about like a solid 14 miles away from each other, like opposite ends of the city. And I was like, "There's no way it's the same." And then I ordered it, and I was like, "Oh no, this is the same."
Same.
Yeah. So I was
They
like,
got you covered.
"Yep,
That's awesome.
it's a beautiful thing."
The sequel
Yeah.
just as good as the original.
See the truck in Sunset Park is the best. I think it's better than the restaurant.
It's
Um,
like a seasoned kind of a thing. It's just so much has been cooked on that flat top, you know.
So next time you're in New York, now you know where to go for
Yeah.
tacos. You're welcome. I want to give a shout out to my wife and I went to the HSNY Gala at the Harvard Club in Manhattan, which was very lovely. We were invited by the collective guys, Gabe and Asher. Shout out to you guys. Thank you for the invite. But we sat with Nick of Fears Watches, who was in town.
Mhm.
What a lovely gentleman he is. I think he just left New York today and went back to York, Yorkshire, York. I don't know.
The UK.
Yeah, or like,
Old York.
Yeah, old York. But boy, I mean, I could have talked to him all night. He was great. Hopefully, we'll be able to get him back onto the podcast sometimes.
We had him on a couple of years ago. It was a
Yeah.
good conversation, but yeah, it'd be great to catch up with him. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll link to that down in the show notes as well.
So
Really
when,
great.
when you go into the Harvard Club, do they ask you what college you went to and then say like, ha ha ha?
Yes, yes. Where's your suit? And, yeah, all that kind of stuff. No, I mean it was lovely. I felt supremely outclassed instantly, but you find your people.
Maybe then you went in and you found the watch people, and you're like,
Yeah.
all right, I'm back.
Yeah. They let all those watch club society, is that what they're called? Group.
Or a lot. Oh, watch. Yes.
You know, the people.
The watch club.
Yeah. They let those bums in. So, no, just kidding.
Our good
If you're listening,
friends who
we
come
love
to
you.
all of our
Yes,
events and are
yes,
fantastic
yeah.
people.
No, we love you. We love you guys. And those are another group of people that I could sit and chat with all night. And they've always got great watches on too. Okay, what were we going to talk about? Well, Ed, I wanted to first ask you about Watches and Wonders. To
Sure.
get your take on any of the new releases. If there's anything that any thoughts that you want to drop on us about any of the new releases.
It's hard. I mean, I wasn't there, so I'm kind of just taking this all in from my desk back at home base. And
That might be the best way to take it all in.
is it? I've never been to one of the big shows, so I don't know if there's any room next year.
Do you really want to go? I don't know.
I gotta go once. I gotta go once, and then I can talk bad about it afterwards on a podcast with
There you go. Yeah.
a couple
There
other
you
pals.
go.
No, you know what? The one that I picked to write up was like absolutely out of my comfort zone, my interest level, my income bracket, like literally everything it was outside of. And that was the Roger Dubuis Knights of the Round Table, like Master Tourbillon, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't even know. It was just ridiculous. Like there's 12 little pink gold knights standing tall at 6 millimeters, and they're carved by hand out of gold, and they're sitting around this like table made out of blocks of sapphire and Murano glass, and there's a tourbillon in the middle, and it's like the crown is an actual crown, and it's like $630,000.
So it's a
how-
cool
but-
watch, is what you're saying.
Yeah, but how
it's for
thick is it?
children who are
Is it-
I don't know. It's probably like a slab. Who cares? There's more than 6 millimeters. 'cause
Thicker
those
or
knights have to
thinner
stand
than
in there.
Yeah.
Is it a homage though? That's the
Yeah,
question.
probably.
Like I don't.
An
since
homage to the great
the
King
Knights of the Round
Arthur.
Table.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's a King
So-
Arthur homage.
You should have seen the Roger Dubuis booth. It was
Was it wild?
What's the word? Disruptor.
I don't even remember it.
It was like a nightclub in the middle
Oh.
of this fair.
Like
it was
a
like
K-
black
or like-
inside. There was like pulsating lights and like a DJ in there the whole time. I mean, it was kind of like in a
sounds crazy.
corner, and it was like every time you walk by, it was almost like intimidating. This scene over there. Zach, you remember this, right? We walked by a few times.
Yeah,
Like,
so
what is going on in there?
I never actually like set foot in the booth. I didn't have a meeting with Roger Dubois. I don't know if either of you guys did, but like you just kind of get an impression of it, as you described, just from walking by it, because there's like a light show and lots of music, and it seemed like there was like something crazy happening inside.
Well, there was.
Yeah, there was. Yeah.
Like I definitely want to experience that next year for sure.
$630,000 watch was happening there. I'm surprised they didn't get like dudes in like suits of armor or something.
Oh yeah,
It would've
standing
been-
on the outside. That
Yeah,
would've been-
just like guarding the booth.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Were those-
that
were those
kind of stood out as
restaurants?
just being like wild and fun.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not much more you can say about it. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's already sold out. Like it's one of
Who
those
buys
watches that
watch?
just
I really want to see the.
I don't know. Did they even make them? Did they actually go and make the 10 of them or whatever?
My theory
knows?
is this: they've got like a handful of VVVIP clients, and they like talk to some of them about like, hey, we're thinking about doing a piece like this. Would you buy it if we did? And then they like get feedback from and like buy-in from like 5 to 10 of them, and once they have that, then they make it. And
The white
then-
whales.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
they
that
sell
makes
it.
a lot of sense. I
So,
could see that happening.
yeah.
There has to be
Other-
12 people who buy it, and then each one is labeled with like their knight, right? Come on.
Oh yeah.
Gotta have-
Yeah, I would want that night there. That's me. That's me.
I'm number 6.
Yeah. I remember
That was crazy. I mean, go ahead.
No, please.
No, I was gonna move on from the night watch because I don't know, whatever. I mean, I'm not driving the
This whole
conversation here. There's
podcast
more to be
can't
said.
be tacos and Roger Dubuis.
It's
it can.
all right, fine.
Absolutely.
Can that be the name
the
of
Black
it?
Bay Pro?
The Taco and Roger Dubuis episode?
Taco and Roger. Yeah. All right, Black Bay Pro.
Reuben
Ed,
tacos and yeah.
Drop it on.
it's too thick and it's a homage. Let's start off by saying that.
Obviously, yeah.
Obviously, I already did try to go buy one, even though I don't know if I want it. I might have gotten caught up in the hype machine. Good thing they didn't have it in stock. I really want to try it on though. Having and then resell it. No, having having not been at the booth, like you just see this stuff and you hear the buzz on the internet and all your preferred watch channels where pretty much everybody in the world except I think Zach Weiss thinks it's too thick, right? Like just
how did I be? How am I the guy who likes the Tudor at this one time? Like this is so strange. I assume
you're the only one who likes it.
I don't think any of us.
I also liked it.
Everybody who saw it in person thought it was great.
You didn't think of it really at all. I don't know. Like it didn't like smack me in the face when I first saw it. I was like, oh my gosh, look at how like thick this is. Like I put it on the wrist and I was like, oh. This seems reasonable. I like it. Like it didn't jump out. But some watches have done that. Certainly. I'm like, oh, I noticed that right away. I didn't notice it right out of the gate with this thing.
I mean, I definitely
like if you put on like a 16 millimeter thick chronograph, you're like, a little thick. I guess auto chrono in there, whatever. But
yeah.
I mean, I definitely recall when I wrote about the Black Bay, the original Black Bays, like the first time I wrote about one of those, like going pretty into the slab side of it and the polished side, and it being like part of kind of why I didn't necessarily wear as I wanted it to. But it was part of, an overall scale thing, and I just, when we put this one on, it did not feel that way initially. That said, it's like, you're like so high on the excitement. I'm like walking into a booth and like, in particular, seeing like, I literally joked to like set up my own failure that if Tudor came out with specifically a like 39 millimeter steel bezel GMT, then I would buy that one. Because I was like, of course that wasn't going to happen. Yeah. So they did. So I was like doubly excited. So like I would say like I don't necessarily have a true impression of it, but I didn't put it on and think like, whoa, hockey puck,
Oh yeah, it doesn't wear like that at all.
But I might be wrong, but I'm probably right.
Yeah, it's Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah. You're right.
I mean, spend more time with it, but I do really want one. I do intend on purchasing one. I'll see you like with living with it a bit. Like the Grand Seiko, the SPGA 375 I have, that's like 14.1. Also that's not a thin watch, but it doesn't bother me at all. And I wear it on often nylon straps, which bump it up a few more millimeters.
I was thinking about the SPGE, that sport GMT. With the ceramic bezel Grand Seiko, we had one in for review.
Yeah. That was thick.
That was thick as well, but I enjoyed wearing that quite a bit. One of those actually came up for sale. I was tempted, but I don't know. That watch has kind of lingered on the back of my mind actually.
Anyway,
so
there we go again. Talking
Grand Seiko. No, that was cool. I want to see that one in person. It is a little, 1655-ish. In appearance. Did that come across like that in person as well, or hard to say?
Obviously it's there. It's like
right.
You can't like not associate it, but it's so different in many other ways. Like people are saying like this is just a rip off of the rumble. It's like, dude, it's a steel bezel and like
it's
a gold
just
color
steel
hand.
Bezel.
It's like
the dial itself does not go in that direction at all. And that to me is kind of what makes the 1655. So.
Yeah, I think it's like, why not? Why not give a nod to a watch that was like a total unicorn in Rolex's history, and that they've never made anything like it since, and like it's been out of production for 40, 50, I don't even know, years. Like,
and they're going for like what, 40 grand
like
plus,
30 plus at least.
Yeah.
Who cares? Who cares?
It's not like Tudor hasn't been doing that.
Out of 30 years, it's been out of production.
I mean, what is the Black Bay if not like kind of an homage to early Submariners, and that that's kind of what Tudor does. Like I don't know why everyone's so kind of like been out of shape about it. It's
everyone's been out of shape.
Yeah, everyone's just been out of shape.
Everyone's like somebody called me out in the AMA for dodging a question about.
Saw that.
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know. So I put two.
Your take wasn't hot enough.
My take was not hot enough. Yeah, so I commented about I don't really care what celebrities are spotted wearing at fancy events. And I also said, I'm not very fond of framed date windows. But since this guy called me out, I put another one in there.
Another hot take.
What did I say? I said snarkily, well, then, my apologies. If that's not sufficient, I'll add that I don't find wire lugs particularly attractive. A big part of the visual appeal of watches to me is the lug-to-case transition, and a wire lug is less than a graceful solution in my eyes. I don't know if that's a hot take or not.
Spicy. So spicy.
Yeah. But, like, and the thing about hot takes is, like, I don't want to begrudge anyone else for liking this stuff. Like, yeah, and I don't want to put down anybody else for liking anything that I don't like, and that's why it's always
Clearly
like
when you're wrong about wire lugs, you know.
And yes, you know, sorry.
Next pod can be warm takes with Blake.
Yeah, warm takes. But I think like we know each other, so we can like give each other shit about, like frame date windows and screw down pushers and stuff like that, and we don't really care. But like, I don't want somebody's first impression of me on here to be like, oh, this guy hates the thing that I love most about watches. He's such a jerk or something like that. Like, you know.
My question is, Blake, are F1 drivers at Watches and Wonders excluded from your celebrity take? Because one of us ran to the IWC booth with a camera to catch Lewis Hamilton.
Look, I remember with my phone. Look, this is
That's
okay.
incredible.
All right. This was not to see the watch on his wrist.
Okay.
This was my son is a big Lewis Hamilton fan. And my wife texted me, by the way, Lewis Hamilton's in the IWC booth. And we were in the middle of working on like the other side of the hall. And I was like, I got to go try and at least like get to see if I can get a picture of him. Because, you know, Liam would flip. I didn't even see him.
It's very smart to play the kid angle.
I didn't hang around there like waiting, and I didn't have, you know, like I was like, I'm not just gonna like wander in, and they had the whole thing like locked down. Yeah. And I know people
for him and
there,
Hans Zimmer. Hans Zimmer was there too.
And Hans Zimmer, yes,
yeah.
The watches are, and this is the whole thing with celebrities at fancy events. Because the day after the fancy event, we have like 50 emails in our inboxes from the brands that supplied the watches, and the email is basically, "Did you see this celebrity wearing our watch?" I'm like, "Well, yeah. I mean, you know, you work with them, or
you paid him to be there,
or whatever, you know, or even if you send it to him for free, like
Timothée Chalamet was wearing."
Yeah, and you know, great. It's just not very compelling to me. Okay, that's all I'm trying to say.
A stylist picks out to put on someone's wrist is not terribly compelling.
Yeah, but that's
not easily swayed by celebrity presence. Is that's what you're saying?
Yes, but like in my comment, I said, you know, if you catch like I think I don't know. These were two random names that popped in my head. Anna de Armas and Keanu Reeves. If you caught them out in the wild wearing like a U50 or some old beat up Seiko, then okay, I'd be impressed. But at the same time, I don't advocate like photographing celebrities when they're out and they're just living their lives. Like,
hey, I mean, we once, you know, one of our very, very, very few celebrity related articles. I don't even know if it was an article, but it was Stone Cold Steve Austin on the Hot Ones YouTube podcast, where all that, and because he wears Sins, he wears.
See, that was like legit though.
That was pretty cool. Yeah.
Like
I doubt he could easily be wearing something big and dumb and stupid. Like he could be rocking like
it was very
something awful very easily.
But he could pull off monster ridiculous watches or whatever. Like
it wasn't a U50. It was probably like the U.
But do you think somebody from Zinn like reached out and like, hey, would you wear our watch on it? Like he probably just likes that watch. That's interesting to me. Like what other watches does he have? Like, what does he think about Zinn? How did he get to know about Zinn? Like that I'm curious about.
Yeah. Certainly Zinn. I don't think that they have like a department for that, but I think historically also like even like when they supplied watches for astronauts, they made them buy them back in like the day and stuff for like Space Lab and stuff like that. Like that is how
integrity.
You're gonna have to
be $3,000.
I like that. Let's see here. But my take on the celebrity, I will point out to you, person that was calling me out, that was the highest upvoted one. So you know. Just relax. I was not trying to dodge anything. Zach Kazan said threw some shade at anyone who owns more than 5 watches.
I mean, I also, full disclosure, own well more than 5 watches.
Yeah.
Like it's
I took that personally.
Anxiety.
Zach, yeah.
I think we all should. It's
you've got a point, but we're all guilty.
Yes, we're all guilty. There was one comment that I didn't understand. Thank you for almost chuffing our collective watch bits, but why wasn't the other watches sub chosen as the forum for this AMA? clearly hate Seiko 5 and anything.
It's like an affordable
I
watch
feel like
for
this
it.
is like
Yeah.
No,
sarcastic, obviously.
It's a reference.
But what other form is he talking about?
Watch a circle jerk.
Is that what it is? I couldn't.
Oh yeah,
That wasn't
it's
inherently
absolutely. It
obvious.
is 100% watch a circle jerk. Then you got Seiko
I don't know if
5.
can say that on
You
the
got
podcast.
Chuff.
Clearly,
Yeah,
you hate Seiko 5 and anything on a pure class NATO. I didn't know what to
NATO's pure
say to him.
class, and
So
you
all
finish it with okay
or her.
chow.
And so that must be right. But I did respond with, I think pure class NATO should have been Zach Kazan's user name on Reddit.
I mean, that's definitely going to be my burner Instagram handle. Like now,
Yes, pure class.
probably shouldn't disclose that on a podcast.
Yeah.
I probably shouldn't have said the name of the subreddit out loud either. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
It's just this is what it's called.
It'll be more
We
funny
can
if
bleep that out.
we might bleep and then people will be like, wait, what aren't they saying?
Oh, then it'll feed further into
Yeah.
I didn't know what he's
Yeah.
talking about. Like, what is
The mystery.
I'm thinking of the sound effect to put in its place right now.
like a boing,
Let's
boy.
see here. The Taco Bell comment was the one that called out Josh. It's lunchtime. What do you go? What are your go-to Taco Bell orders? Almost as important. How handsome is producer Josh? Will we ever see his face?
Well, me and Ed Jelly finally met in person today, so
I did. It took me like 6 pods.
Yeah.
It's worth the wait, folks. It's worth the wait.
There's one other one that I thought was kind of interesting. M for Shfi, SHFI, a mash fee maybe, because a 4 is a in like hacker speak or something. I don't know. Mash fee. Hey guys, in your opinion, what's the most redundant complication or function found on today's luxury watches? And then he asked our thoughts on gold and titanium as well. But this is one of those that you kind of like, I was just starting to answer, but then like the more I think about it, the more that you're like, oh, there's many layers that you could go into.
Yeah.
On this.
Also, the interpretation is like redundant is an interesting use because it's like, like it's what, because you could just think of it as useless, but like what does redundant actually mean? It's like it's doing something that's already done, sort of like it's sort of right. So that's kind of a confusion.
That's why I said like the whole watch is a redundancy basically. But I think
I interpret it more as
your
like
first
useless,
interpretation
sort of.
is what he was going for.
Yeah.
Because in a response, or she, he says, I was hoping that you'd name tachymeters.
Yeah, which
As
isn't
most-
even
and I was like,
necessarily
of
complication by
course.
some standards.
Definitely
So
not,
much
but
so,
like it's
yeah.
something that it made me pause because I don't ever think about the tachymeters on my watches, and I have a lot of watches with tachymeters on them, and it's something. It's just like one of those things that you don't really pay a second thought to, except for what it adds like visually to the design of a bezel or a dial. And I feel like that's how it's primarily used by watch brands these days.
I mean, raise your hand if you've used a tachometer, a telemeter, or a pulsometer.
I've used a tachymeter once. A speedometer broke in the car that I was driving, and so there were mile
24-hour Le Mans over here?
Well, I was just like on the highway cruising, and I was driving in the right lane, and cars were just flying past me. And I was like, why am I going that slow? And so my speedometer was reading one thing. So then I used the tachymeter on my watch and discovered that it was like 15 miles an hour off in its reading. Wow. So it did come in handy that one.
I like that also.
That one time.
A tachometer, I never realized this, but a tachometer doesn't have to measure speed. It's anything per hour or like, which is hilarious. Yeah, it's just, so like how many times does it, like speed of which you could like, I don't know, carve up a pineapple. Like you can time
eat
that.
Tacos.
And eat tacos.
Weave a basket underwater.
So it's kind of neat when you think about it like that. Still haven't used
but still though, like I think they add a lot to the presence of a dial, like visually.
Yeah, I think they're beautiful.
Speaking,
Yeah.
and I think that's what brands are.
It's part of what was cool about that Bell & Ross multimeter, right? Is that they kind of broke the speeds down to more usable levels.
So now it's
I'm never going to run 1,000 miles per hour.
utterly practical. Yeah. Ed, did you see this Bell & Ross, the multimeter?
The what?
The multimeter.
No, I didn't see it.
You need to. Yeah.
No.
Do a quick search on that one.
We have this
That's
website.
cool.
It's called Worn and Wound. We write about watches. If you go on there, you'll see
write about
You'll
watches.
see a
on that
watch
website.
with the single best date window ever executed ever. Period.
It's worn
Legitimate.
and wound.
Yeah.
Worn and Wound.
Worn and Wound. Here it is by a Blake Buitner.
That day
Nailed it.
window. That day window.
Just
is so
look at it.
good.
People hate
Okay.
it so much that
I love.
of course,
That's
I
my
love it. Yeah.
literally. We talked
No.
about this. That's my favorite.
Do people
design
hate
element.
it? Is it getting a negative?
People hate
I
it?
thought it was.
I don't know.
Well,
I
unless the
mean,
date
we all
window
liked
is
it.
like, I don't even know if it's at
Dude,
3.
you
It's
got
a
a problem
problem. If
with
it's at 6, it's
4:30
a problem.
date?
Yeah, everyone go
The
freak. It
problem
doesn't
with,
matter.
it's like a 12:15.
Yeah, no,
It's
this
like
one is just in the
right
middle
to
of
the-
nowhere. It's great.
It's so crazy. It's fun though. Like
Yeah.
you're not going to need all that junk, but like we're all here for a good time, not a
We're
practical
all
time. I
here-
don't know.
We're all here for a good time. Yeah.
Right.
That's going on the gravestone.
We're all here for a good time, not a long time, right?
That should get engraved on the back of the Bell and Ross.
Yeah.
And then you could calculate how much time you're here for with all these crazy scales on here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't hate it. I mean,
No,
I
I think we
can
all
see why
really
you-
like it. To
I
be
lo-
honest.
I
Yeah,
love
yeah,
it.
yeah.
It's
Like,
a big fan.
no facetiousness. Like that's the Bell and Ross I like the most. Period.
I wonder if it's still.
That's crazy. Yeah, there's just so much on there. The colors are weird. I don't know. It's just like fun
they
and funky
work.
and weird.
Yeah.
They work together.
Yeah.
And that date window,
No,
right?
I-
How about that date?
The date window is absurd, but again, we're here for a good time.
Yeah.
We're here
Where
for
else
a
are you going
good
to put
time.
it? Do you need it?
Yeah,
I don't know.
really? I don't know. Yeah, that's like the least offensive place to get. It's not blocking any information. It's purely functional.
It's
Yeah,
still,
that's what we
it's
said
still
last
available.
week. It's in like the one spot where it doesn't really.
It's the only
Right.
spot it can
Interrupt
go.
anything.
Really. Yeah. It's like
Unless you're-
12:45. Yeah.
What's an asmometer?
Oh boy.
Oh, breaths.
It's-
Breaths per minute.
Yeah.
It has it on the dial. I just have to zoom in.
It's just units over
Yeah.
a period of time.
Yeah.
But they're all like they're all labeled. Yeah.
You got 3 tachymeters. That's kind of
3 tachymeters.
Extra.
This is what you need. Yeah.
Well, it's like a spiral tack, but then they kind of associate each
Yeah. It's all clearly
part
broken
to like a
out.
different activity you might actually do versus, driving a very fast
Driving a
car
fast car,
or
flying a plane.
Flying a plane.
Yep, or running. Okay, so there's I'll confess, I made a mistake here. A Scale and Square asked any SoCal meetups on the horizon. Would love to go sometime. So I read this quickly and I thought it said any social meetups on the horizon. So that's why I asked where he located. Sorry about that. Thankfully, SoCal is a big enough swath of area that it still applies.
That's
but
fair.
he's like, San Diego. But I talked about it'd be fun to do something in the Midwest, like St. Louis or Austin or Florida even, and just get maybe not like big fancy events or something, but just go down there and be a part of the whatever get together, just get a sense of the local scenes down there. I think would be a lot of fun. And then there's another one that I thought was kind of interesting. At what price point would you say you start chasing diminishing returns from a quality perspective and start entering the luxury watch market? And then he gives kind of an example that he's thinking about right now. But there's some deep questions on here that I think go into realms
That's
that
a good question.
yeah, and this is one that there's no just quick little answer that I can give you here. So I think it's I kind of ended up at this is something that we all deal with at our own way, and we all kind of run up to eventually, because I'm sure we've all gotten to watch and you're like, this is like a big jump in price, and is it really I don't know, but then you feel comfortable in that price range, and then it's like another jump up, and you're like, this is like a process that keeps happening.
Yeah, you sell 2 in the price range you were uncomfortable in, and then you bump yourself up into the next
one.
uncomfortable price range.
Yeah, because this is the typical watch collector move. You look in your watch box and you see $10,000 watches, and you're like,
It's a
I could
$10,000
sell all
watch.
those and get
Yeah.
this $10,000 watch, and then
But I do think
that gets
with-
boring.
with the examples they gave, there was an interesting the Solita base IWC versus these other watches, and I feel like there's if I'm gonna flip them both, then I'm gonna I want to find that upgrade, or something.
yeah,
Which I do think is an
and
interesting
the examples
sort
that he gave are all kind of in a very similar vein.
Yeah,
I would
yeah.
be struggling
there were
with it
3
as well.
there was a family of watches certainly.
They're all
Yeah.
kind of related, and yeah, that's what I told him. There's no you're not compromising anything with the Damasco or the Zin. IWC is a big name, and they've been around for a while. If you care about that kind of stuff, if you think about servicing in the future, I don't know. I don't have doubts about Zin or Damasco, but I think these are the kinds of things that people think about when they're like, well, what value does a brand name that's been around forever and that's huge add to things? It could be things like that.
But it is, yeah, I don't know, it's tricky.
But there's no
I
guarantee.
really think, yeah, like especially like three-handed watches, like I don't know. Imagining Explorers were 6400 or whatever they're supposed to be, like that's a good sizable leap up from a lot of three-hand sport watches. Like,
yeah,
is it, at what point is it? I don't know. Like, I don't know the answer. Is it?
I think it like taps into the like emotional kind of aspect of watch collecting. Like at a certain point, like there's no logical justification for like the IWC that's twice as expensive as the, Damasco or Sin or whatever. But you kind of just like get wrapped up in something and like you like it for reasons that you can't quite explain. And I think that's okay. And it's also okay to just say, like, no, like it doesn't make sense to spend that much more money on something that doesn't offer like a quantifiably better experience. Like I can see both sides of that.
Yeah, I think I said that to him. Like, if you just like the IWC and you're like looking for a reason, like that's okay to just admit that to yourself. I mean, I think we certainly all are guilty of doing that. Like, I just like the look of that.
Something you don't necessarily want to do is like hold a watch in your hand that costs a certain amount of money, especially if it's like not a small amount of money. Be like, is this really worth? Like it's like
I've done that.
Because that's. I mean, you like, do I need a watch at all?
Well,
why should I spend it? Like once you go down that road, you
I had like a full on breakdown when I bought my Speedmaster. Yeah, dude. I seriously, I ordered it online, like the big box Speedmaster, and this was like 5 years ago, and it was the most I ever spent on pretty much anything for myself. And I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, I called my mom. I was like, I just bought this really expensive watch, and like, I don't know. I'm just like, it just doesn't feel right. She's like, back in the box and return it. And then like two other friends were like, just wear it. I'm like, all right, I'll just wear it. And then 5 years later, here we are. Yeah. But it was like, it was a crazy feeling to spend so much money on something. And then like, now I'm just like, let me just put this on the side of the tub while I, get the kids out of the bath or something crazy. It's like the thing that I was like, this is this coveted piece of
Speedmasters aren't waterproof, right?
They're not. That's why it was on the. That's why I put it away. It was more like on the sink, not like next to open water.
Okay.
But no, like I totally get that. Like when you feel something and you're like, is this worth what I just paid or I'm thinking about paying for it? And that's a big part of that question too. I mean, diminishing returns are going to be highly subjective, but like you could also say like, I don't know, maybe like $3,000 because you can get a really well finished Grand Seiko with an interesting movement and maybe not super interesting, but let's say spring drive, like the entry to spring drive is what, like 5,500 ish.
Lower, I think, and some of the heritage. I want to say
like $4,000 to $5,000. Like you get some pretty wonderful finishing and like a very interesting movement with like proprietary technology from a, it's just like on a different level. I mean, I have two Grand Seikos and like something like that, like anything above that is like really going to feel that much better than that. Like, I don't know.
Seiko kind of spoils you. Sure.
Yeah, it does.
But at the same time, I can think about my whatever it is, the 277 SBGW. SBGW. That's a very simple three-hand watch. The entire thing is polished, so while there might be Zaratsu polished elements, like they don't stand out versus the other parts of it. That was an expensive watch. I don't think I have no way around. And it's very simple, and it's like does no more than like any other three-hand, like the Young Hands Max
or your
Bill
phone.
I have.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's if you love it, and
get rid of it.
But like these are $1,000, and we get like a new one every year. And I think if you think about it, over time, like you've had that Speedmaster for how long now? And if you think about it,
5 years,
the value dispersed over the
cost per wear,
years, you might end up wearing it. Then it's a different type of story.
And unlike these, they don't ruin your life.
And they don't ruin your life.
You
can't access Instagram. But like, point being, like,
I'm not addicted to my Speedmaster. Look, time and stuff all the time.
$3,000 to $4,000 is a lot of money to spend on a watch. You get a really nice watch for that and be set for the rest of your life and not have to think about watches ever again if you don't want.
Where's the fun in that?
Where's the fun in that? But like, if you're like struggling with those kinds of like, I think it's good to put that into perspective.
Yeah, and go try it on. I mean, go to an AD, go to a jeweler, go to a wind up fair. Shout out somewhere where you can put the watch on yourself and see how it makes you feel. Like I was like lusting over an Explorer too, like a modern one, and I put it on. It was just way too big and clunky, and I just didn't like it. Like straight up, I was like, wow, this is what I'm going to save for. And then I put it on, and I was like, nope, gonna stick with the Grand Seiko SB, whatever the heck I'm wearing right now, SBG in 003. It just fits me better. It just feels better, and like it's a third of the price.
Yeah.
Same time, don't put on
Roughly.
a Res's Type 1 square, because then you'll be like, do I need a $20,000 watch? I might
Yep.
just need that. Might just need that. You know,
Yeah.
same thing.
You objectively,
You'll just be like,
you objectively need
Yeah.
that
It was like, oh,
Resonance.
it fits. It fit.
Yeah, those were such fun watches to play with.
They really are.
Just I don't know, so much fun. I love what he's doing. And somebody else asked, what brands you would like to have at Wind Up, and that's
keep
right
pushing
there,
them. Yeah.
right there at the top of the list.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know.
Small independent brand would fit right in.
Resonance.
It would.
Maybe one day we'll be fancy enough to have brands like that. No, I think they would fit in perfectly well.
Yeah.
Honestly, and
Agreed.
I think lots of people would come out and be really enthusiastic about seeing them. Wind ups have sold into 6 or 5 digit expensive watches before. Like, people come out that have coin and spend it at some of these things. So I know some people just purely associate Worn and Wound with a certain type of thing, but
Yeah.
it goes a little
we're
deeper
growing,
than
we're
that.
changing.
Yep. And so, I don't know. Any other questions that you guys found particularly compelling, or that you wanted to expand upon your answer a little bit more? Ed, any questions that you saw that you're like, I got to jump in?
Oh, you put me on the spot. I could definitely just give a shout out to the OG Maritac Pilot review. Also, older shout outs to the Helson Skin Diver review. That had to be like 10 years ago, almost 10 years ago at this point.
That was my first watch that cost more than $500.
Yeah, dude, me too. I bought one because of your review 9 years ago.
Somebody asked that. I wonder how many whatever watch have sold.
Yeah, it was
because
the
of
Nighthawks and Seiko. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm in that boat.
That, and I think the Orient Bambino, I ended up buying one of because of Worn and Wound. Like,
you got married
8 years
in that watch,
ago.
right?
I did, and it's sitting in my closet because it's worth $100, and it's worth more to me personally than it is monetarily. I mean,
If you took it in to get serviced and somebody said this is not worth to have a service, what would you say to them?
I'd march right back out.
You would be like
Honestly,
me and go like, oh well, please service it anyways.
I mean, it's probably
I'd
like
probably be like,
Orient
you know what?
movement.
Like, let's just leave it at that. I'm not gonna. I don't even think I would service it, to be honest.
Yeah.
Maybe if one of my kids wants to get it serviced in however
You
many
should.
years.
I mean, you
I've never
should
actually thought about it though, but like, how
Can
do
you
you get an
service it?
Orient service? Because like they actually have their own movements. But
Does
it's not
that one have their own movement?
I mean, what else would they
think so.
use?
Is it
I mean, they're
made
a
to just like be
subsidiary
thrown away
of-
and replaced, like the
Very
whole
well
like the
could be.
movement itself?
I mean, they're technically owned by Seiko Epson at this point, though. Like the company wasn't originally, but I don't
There's
think they're
it's not like
using
an
NH.
S2 in there or anything.
I don't think so.
Whatever. Honestly,
I
I,
don't know
haven't
what's
worn
in
it
that
since
one,
my
so-
wedding. I don't think I've worn it since.
Yeah.
It's a nice looking watch.
But
though.
it is a nice looking
Bambino.
watch, and it's got rose gold accents, and I didn't think that would be a thing for me, and yet
Here we are.
I bought it. But it was so cheap. It was so easy.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think. I don't know what I think. Never mind. Forget it.
Well then.
No, that was interesting because I just like I have friends who like we used to talk about like, oh, what should I get? And like you get the Maritac Pilot, and then you get one of those big chunky leather straps. What were they? Who makes those? They were like the strap, like when you get the strap back then. Oh my gosh.
The big chunky strap
Like a thick leather strap. Like they made the nice leather
Pan,
straps.
with like a 22 millimeter span.
Oh, everything's was 22. I mean, it was one of those
Yeah.
like Panerai kind of Panatime. They were back then. Like,
No.
Oh yeah, those
I don't
Panerai
know.
guys got crazy into the strap.
well, that was like
stuff.
I feel like all the first secondhand strap like sites were all catering
All
to Panerai
Panerai,
for a
yeah.
while.
Yeah.
The Panaristi.
I gotta find it. No, we don't have to wait for it, but
Zach
I'll
Kazan,
find it
what
in
do
the
you think
background.
about Panerai watches?
With wire lugs.
So every time I try on a Panerai, I think, oh, that's fine. But I never
Best reaction.
like I've never really felt compelled to like really like explore the brand in terms of like think about like owning one. Like they just don't really appeal to me aesthetically, I don't think. But like every once in a while, like I'll try them out in a meetup and think like, oh, it's actually like not as bad as I thought it was going to be. Like it's exactly fine.
Like, oh, let's watch.
Have you been watching Tokyo Vice?
No, I haven't started Tokyo Vice yet. I maybe this weekend I'll start that. Are there Panerais?
There's a
Vice?
Yakuza character who is wearing a Panerai pretty
Okay.
I mean, I spotted it. It's not like they put it on camera, but it's pretty clear what it is.
Yeah.
The leather straps were Hirsch.
Hirsch
straps.
Of course. Jeez.
Yeah, come on, guys.
They've
You remember that, right? Like if you were to get
they're
an
still around,
aftermarket
like,
strap 9 years ago, you'd get a Hirsch. And
or the Hirsch
this is-
Liberty. Hirsch Liberty. I remember writing about that on some. It might have been my Citizen Nighthawk review. Yeah.
All right, we're gonna leave it at that.
Hirsch straps, folks.
Josh,
They're still around. Hirsch, Austria. They make good stuff. Yeah.
so, Josh, if you have a Reddit account, you can hop into the comments on the AMA and
Post a selfie.
post a selfie.
Yeah.
Give the people what they want.
I commented on your hat collection in the post.
I do have a pretty elite hat collection. There's a few. There's still a few I haven't worn here though. I keep them.
What is that material? Is that felt?
Yeah, it's wool.
It's wool?
Yeah,
Oh,
I
man.
picked it.
What's your best hat?
So honestly,
Dave.
so my favorite hat right now. This is kind of funny. This is the influence of a Polo Ralph Lauren type podcast or whatever. But like, I was never really a Polo fan. But in New York City, there's a whole subculture called low lifes. That's what they're called.
Lifes.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I was never really a fan of Polo growing up or anything like that. But they have like all these vintage pieces and stuff like that that I was not familiar with. But my favorite hat is a recent pickup. It's not a vintage piece, but it's a which I've worn it here once. I don't know if you remember. It was a corduroy bucket hat. It has blue. It's blue, dark blue, maroon, and dark, very, very dark green, all corduroy. And normally I wouldn't have that many colors on a hat, but it just works. And it has,
Patchwork
Yeah.
corduroy.
Yeah.
Kind of- that
It's
sounds
the
nice.
multimeter of hats.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I do really want that watch though. I would love to have that watch.
I had no idea about like the whole polo scene thing, and then one time I just sat in a conversation where a guy explained to me about like the polo meetups and like snow blind jackets and like all this stuff. I was like, what?
It's a really big.
amazing.
It's a really, really big deal. I was like, I was not aware of it either. But like, honestly, there's some really cool stuff in there. Like, there's something for everybody, even if you think there's not something for you.
Zach's gonna have a blast with the show notes this week. I can tell.
You could just put the Revolution X Ralph Lauren Polo Negroni watch. Remember that exists with
yeah.
a bear on it. That just
that
that
was
sums
cool.
it all
Yeah.
up.
I'm into that.
Probably not as collectible.
All right, we're gonna dip. We hope to see all of you in San Francisco this weekend as this goes on.
Yeah.
So, if not, maybe we'll catch you in
April
Chicago
22nd through
or
24th,
New
I
York.
think I got that right.
22nd through
Yeah.
24th. Yeah.
San Francisco.
All right. Thank you for hopping into the AMA. If you did, if you have questions for us and you're not a part of Reddit, feel free to drop them in the comments below. We are always, of course, at your disposal when it comes to answering questions about watches or tacos or movies or anything else in your mind. So, all right. Until next time, thanks for tuning in. Take care.